Hey, Angela.
Yes.
One of the things we didn't talk do Friday. Welcome, everyone. It is Bar Talk, May 6th. And we've got a lot of exciting things going on. Things are heating up, actually. I think there might be a light at the end of the tunnel and a lot of ramping up for next month. So if for those of you that don't know, at the end of the day yesterday, there were a couple new pandemic orders updates and or actually a few. And we also produced a slide. Can you just go to the next slide, Angela? So there's a few things happening. So number one, I think I mentioned before last week that we issued a letter requesting essentially a stakeholders group, and the Maine Trial Lawyers Association also sent a letter requesting certain issues be addressed related to prioritizing trials in the future, as well as a couple other things. One of the things that was included in the new update for PMO SJC1 is this stakeholders group that's going to meet start next week, and there's a seat at the table for the Maine Bar Association and the Maine Trials Lawyers Association and a few other state agencies to make the reopening of the courts a smooth transition. And anticipating that, last week we had already voted in the Board of Governors to have a nominee. Last week, the executive board chose our president-elect, Kelly McDonald, to be our representative. So he is going to be at those stakeholder meetings. One of the other important things to note in the order is that there was quite a reduction in the types of cases that are not going to be heard. And I have that printout right here. So if you remember, there used to be a long list of those cases that would not be heard. And so now that list is very short. There's only 4 types of cases that will not be heard or addressed through May 30th. Those are FEDs, disclosures, foreclosures, and small claims. And then it says effective immediately through May 30th. All these other cases will be addressed. Now, I don't think they're bringing anyone into the courts for conferences, etc., until after May 30th or May 31st. But they are able to start scheduling cases into the future. So that's a big news item. The other big news item is no jury trials until after June 30th. And there's all sorts of neat stuff. I guess the thing that I did want to let you know as a foot stomp on PMO SJC3 is that there seems to be it looks like an expanded list of those types of cases that can be or types of motions or petitions that can be done via email. But keep in mind, the foot stomp here is protections from abuse complaints can be emailed, protection from harassment complaints cannot. And you have to have, whenever you file a motion or any document that through that email process that's available at PMO SJC3, you need to have certain language that's found in that order next to your signature. Okay. And I think that pretty much sums that up. I wanted to bring something else to your attention. For those of you that practice in federal court, you may have seen there was a circulation of proposed amendments to the district court's local rules. That's for the Maine federal district courts. And so take a look at those should you want to make comments on proposed amendments. That being said, we should have a special guest online. Do we have Jonathan Sarbeck? There he is. Yes.
Hey, Thaddeus. How you doing?
Hi, Jonathan. Very good. Appreciate you joining us. I was real excited to hear about how you guys are dealing with COVID-19 and the processes that you're setting up to operate, as well as any news you might have about the forward planning process related to the new orders, etc. Jonathan?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody. As we all know, March 13th, the court put out an order that really changed a lot of how we do business here in Cumberland County, especially on the criminal side. I know it affects family law and civil as well. With regard to criminal, the court basically set down that the only cases we were going to hear involved people who were in custody. So if you were arrested over a weekend or the night before, you're going to be brought in. They increased the amount of in custody days that we did, which were usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to Monday through Friday. So we do them also on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then also the court was allowing motions to amend bail to be heard with the court. What basically happened at the beginning was that I got together with Tina Nadeau and Bob LeBrasser and Sheriff Joyce, and we talked about the population over at the jail. At that time, there was a lot of uncertainty when it came to what was happening, whether COVID-19 was a lot more widespread than we thought. But we had concerns about it getting into the jail. Thankfully, to this day, I'm knocking on wood, there haven't been any positive cases over at the jail with any inmates or with any staff, but we didn't want to be caught flat-footed. So the sheriff put together some names and some individuals who he could use as, or he could release using his powers under, I think it's the compassionate release situation. Obviously, if they've been sentenced, the DA's office doesn't have anything to do with it anymore. But when it came to people who were on pretrial bail, I think the numbers were around like 260 to 270 for people who were on pretrial bail over at the jail when this whole COVID-19 started. The exact population I think was 408, but that number includes people doing sentences and then also federal inmates as well. I think there were about 70 federal inmates at that time. So how it worked is that we got together with counsel and basically I told them that if we could come up with different measures that would maintain public safety and such as house arrest or other conditions of release for individuals, then most likely we would be agreeing to a motion to amend bail. And for those individuals that we couldn't, it would just simply come into court. So we, through working with defense counsel and then also the motions that have to amend bail that have come in, which have kind of stopped over the last couple of weeks, which means that we've kind of exhausted everybody that's over there that's going to have a motion to amend bail filed. We've reduced the pretrial detainees over at the jail to about 125 to 130, which is a significant drop, but we didn't, like I said, we didn't want to be caught flat-footed. And so I'm very happy about the prosecutors and the defense bar working together to try to get that issue solved, but also everybody sort of understanding the different roles that we all play, and you all knowing that the DA's office has to, we advocate for the public safety side of things when it comes to the prosecution. So that was, I think, a great measure on a lot of people working together well on that. I'm very proud of it. Since then, starting this week, actually starting yesterday, the court has started to do dispositional conferences, all via video or phone, for individuals who are still over at the jail. So of those 130 or so individuals, the court is arranging the schedule for those dispositional conferences to get to be heard. from everything went through all right yesterday with regards to no glitches on the technology side. I didn't really get too much of a sense on how things worked out. I know some cases, defense counsel and the prosecution weren't able to come up with a resolution in the case. I know there was another one that they said there was going to be an open plea probably Thursday on that case. But I think overall, it's going well with regards to the dispositional conferences. Those should probably be done within the next few weeks. Like I said, there's only a finite amount of people held at the jail. So those dispositional conferences, if they're doing maybe 10 a day, will go relatively quickly. From speaking to Justice Kennedy and Judge Cashman, what I'm hearing is that they don't think that jury trials are going to start again until either late summer or maybe even early fall. Obviously, the logistics of getting a jury pool in here and selecting a jury is going to be very difficult. But they are trying to, obviously, and I'm urging my prosecutors to speak to counsel and work things out. So if any of you have any open cases, feel free to reach out to the prosecutor to talk about trying to resolve the case. The court is willing to take pleas. It's open to moving things along if they can. I think you probably have a better shot of getting onto the docket in June as opposed to in May. But it is something that we're going to try to get things to move along. But unfortunately, trials, jury trials, I should say, I think bench trials would be available, won't be coming back for a while. So.
Now, Jonathan, did I notice in the latest PMO that you have been granted at least the ability to do grand jury meetings starting in, is it July? I think it says. Do you anticipate that?
I really, really hope so. I can't really tell you the numbers of cases pending grand jury right now, but it's at least double what we're usually doing a month. Usually we have the grand jury hear about 100 cases a month. So we have 100 indictments usually issued each month. And right now I think we have about 250 pending. So that's going to take a long time to get that backlog sorted out. But I hope that they start in July. I was hoping they would start in June, but that doesn't sound like it's going to be realistic. So July might be the month that we get restarted when it comes to grand jury.
Now, Jonathan, one of the things, if anyone has any questions too, they can pop them in the chat and we can address it right now. But we don't have a whole lot of time, Jonathan, and I appreciate the time you gave us. But I'd like to just ask, how have you, from this point backward, enabled your office to function? Like, what type of in-house procedures did you put in place did you lay anyone off, or is everyone working? And how are they working?
Yeah, so we usually have about 50 people in our office. We're down to about 10 people in the office. Knock on wood, I haven't had to lay anybody off or furloughed anybody, but those are usually decisions that either my county staff or the staff is hired by the county, so the county manager would dictate if there are furloughs, and the same goes with the attorney general when it comes to the ADAs. But yeah, knock on wood, we haven't done that. But all of our ADAs are working from home if they're not in the office. So they're available if people need to reach out to them. Our staff is a little bit more difficult because a lot of the roles that they play within the office, you can't do an at-home function because it's pulling files or it's updating things within our computer system from the physical file itself. But we do, our victim witness advocates, they are working from home as well. Our diversion coordinators are working from home. So if you have somebody that's on a deferred disposition that you have a question on, you can get in touch with Catherine or Stephanie and they can answer that for you. We do have our receptionist working. We usually have 2 working. We are down to 1 each day that we're rotating people out. So people can send in money with regards to deferred disposition fees. I know there's the economic wise, people are going to be hurting after this. So if people do have clients, which they do have a new financial circumstance where they a deferred disposition fee or supervision fee is going to be difficult for them, I would urge them to contact our office about it. I know other districts have simply gotten rid of those supervision fees. I can't do that in my office because those supervision fees actually pay for Catherine and Stephanie's job. So those other counties, they just go into a general fund within their own county. We run things differently here. But we are looking at every case on a case-by-case basis. So if you do have a client who is in a new circumstance, we can talk to you about that. But we're not just going to just flat out get rid of supervision fees because quite frankly, the budget couldn't afford it and we might lose the whole program if we did that. And I think that deferred dispositions are a good mechanism to use within our office and for your clients as well.
Agreed. Jonathan, thank you very much for your time. We are out of time to let me see if they're, yep, we're out of time to give you any more questions at this time. We do have a couple more items on the agenda, and while we're running just a little bit over, if you could hang on, Jonathan, we may have some questions at the very end, but Angela, floor is yours for business updates.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us, Jonathan. We appreciate it. Today is the third day of the Lawyer Wellbeing Week, and today's, oops, let's see if I can get there. Today's well-being topic is career and intellectual well-being. And again, you'll be able to find this information on our website. You can watch the TED Talk and read the article, and there is a challenge for you to look at. Make sure you're keeping in mind your well-being as we all are mostly stuck at home. We also have some other upcoming guests the rest of this week. Aria will be joining us Friday. We may have another guest on Friday. We're not quite sure yet. And tomorrow will be Harry McKinney from the Kennebec County Sheriff's Office talking about civil service. I don't think there's anything right now, else right now, Thad. Thank you. Thad, you're muted.
Thank you, Angela. I'm in the process of reading this book on rebranding lawyers. So along with Wednesday's Wellness Week topic, I thought that was apropos. It says that it's a 1 hour read, but it's taken me 2 hours so far and I'm not done with it yet. So a lot of good information in there. I'll share more with that with you later. Also, we are looking at potentially having Chief Meade on Friday. Angela alluded to there may be a change on Friday with Aria E. We will see if Aria would allow Judge or Chief Meade to come on Friday. So we'll reach out. We'll see what availability is for Chief Meade, but you can perhaps look forward to seeing him on Friday. And I am thankful for the judicial branch today and the stakeholder group direction that they took. And I think that it's a great positive direction in having us all be safe when we return back to the courthouses. And with that being said, we did have a couple chat things come in, but any questions at all that you want us to forward to anybody, just please send them our way and we will do that. Thanks again to our guest, Jonathan, and we'll see you. See you tomorrow.